And on the other side of the border, the Mexican government has converted a local gym into a shelter ready to receive 1,000 people. Reporting in Nogales, Adam Klepp, ABC 15, Arizona. What's your hope for the future?
My hope for the future is that we continue to treat people with humanity. It doesn't matter what you believe in. It does not matter your status. You are still a person.
In the first months of 2025, U.S. immigration policies under President Donald Trump's administration drew significant attention, particularly due to a surge in deportation flights to Mexico. The topic of U.S. deportation flights to Mexico surging became a focal point of discussion across media and social platforms, especially on X. If you're interested in this topic, comment number 1. After taking office in January 2025, President Trump issued executive orders to strengthen control over illegal immigration. A key focus was a large-scale deportation campaign, described as the largest deportation effort in U.S. history. Deportation flights, particularly to Mexico, increased significantly, aiming to remove undocumented immigrants from U.S. soil. According to independent sources, such as a report by Thomas Cartwright from Witness at the Border, deportation flights reached a record 209 in June 2025, a 54% increase from the average of the previous 6 months. While full data for August 2025 is not yet available, X posts and news reports suggest this trend continued to escalate. An X post from T.H. Cartwright on August 5, 2025 stated, "Since taking office, a total of 5,962 flights have been operated, up 41% from the same period in 2024, with 1,036 being deportation flights, up 15%. This indicates a notable rise in deportation activities, including flights to Mexico." News reports note that in May 2025, Mexico saw a spike in deportation flights from the U.S., with 9 flights recorded in 1 week compared to an average of 1 per week previously. By June, direct deportation flights to Mexico dropped to 17, but land-based deportations increased to compensate. These flights not only returned Mexican citizens, but also included immigrants from countries like Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, as Mexico agreed to accept them under bilateral agreements. In August 2025, X posts and reports from organizations like Witness at the Border indicated the upward trend in deportation flights persisted. An X post from Border Zone News in early August 2025 claimed, "Deportation flights to Mexico are surging, with military flights sparking controversy over high costs and diplomatic tensions." ICE data shows over 142,000 people were deported in 2025, including 38,000 Mexican citizens. Mexico also accepted about 5,000 immigrants from other countries via flights and land deportations.
With 9 flights confirmed this week by News Nation. Typically, just 1 flight occurs each. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says more than 142,000 people have been deported this year, including 38,000 Mexicans. Mexico has taken in its own citizens as well as about 5,000 migrants from other nations.
Deportation flights typically use chartered planes from private companies like Global X and Eastern Air. But the Trump administration also employed military aircraft, such as the C-17, which sparked controversy due to high costs, about $2,500 per flight hour compared to $17,000 for civilian planes. Mexico rejected some military flights, citing missing paperwork or diplomatic tensions, as seen in January 2025 when a C-17 flight was denied landing. The Mexican government, led by President Claudia Sheinbaum, launched the Mexico Embraces You program to support deportees. This initiative established 10 reception centers near the U.S.-Mexico border, offering shelter, meals, medical services, and debit cards worth over $100. By May 2025, about 12,200 people had stayed at these centers, and 9,300 debit cards were issued. However, demand was lower than expected, prompting suggestions to close some centers. Mexico also relocated reception centers from northern cities like Monterrey and Nuevo Laredo to southern areas like Tapachula and Villahermosa to keep deportees farther from the U.S. border. This aligned with U.S. goals to prevent re-entry. However, President Sheinbaum expressed concerns about unilateral U.S. actions, particularly the Remain in Mexico policy, requiring asylum seekers to wait in Mexico during case processing, and the use of military aircraft for deportations. Internationally, U.S. deportation flights, especially to third countries like El Salvador, Honduras, and Venezuela, sparked controversy. Brazil and Colombia criticized the use of military planes and the treatment of deportees, calling it a lack of respect for human rights. The U.S. Supreme Court intervened, requiring the Trump administration to ensure deportees could present their cases before being sent to non-native countries. On X, the topic of deportation flights to Mexico fueled heated discussions. Some users supported the Trump administration's tough stance, viewing it as necessary to control illegal immigration. A post from Patriot Voice USA on August 7, 2025 read, "Finally, we're getting tough on illegal immigration. Deportation flights to Mexico are a step in the right direction to secure our borders."
Now, in his Davos address, Trump also referred to the past 72 hours as a revolution of common sense, and he cited all the changes that he's initiated, including the arrest of illegal immigrants. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbon now on the operation to round up and deport.
Others criticized the use of military aircraft and associated costs. A post from Immigrant Rights on August 6, 2025 stated, "Using military planes for deportations is wasteful and inhumane. We need fairer immigration solutions." These contrasting views reflect deep polarization in U.S. public opinion on immigration. Some X posts highlighted the economic cost of deportation flights, estimated at billions annually, while others raised humanitarian concerns, such as the use of restraints and harsh conditions on flights. Economically, deportation flights created a lucrative industry for private companies like Global X, with contracts worth hundreds of millions. However, the high cost of military flights sparked debate, with critics arguing the budget could fund other social programs. Additionally, Trump's threats of 25% tariffs on Mexican goods heightened trade tensions, potentially affecting both nations' economies. On the humanitarian front, organizations like Human Rights First and the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project raised concerns about the lack of notice and legal opportunities for deportees. Some, especially those sent to third countries, reported not being informed of their final destination or given access to lawyers. These issues were amplified for deportees facing violence or instability in countries like South Sudan or El Salvador. The surge in U.S. deportation flights to Mexico in August 2025 reflects the Trump administration's commitment to strict immigration enforcement. While data shows a significant increase in deportations, with thousands returned to Mexico and other countries, challenges around diplomacy, human rights, and costs remain prominent. Mexico's Mexico Embraces U program demonstrates efforts to support deportees, but tensions with the U.S. persist due to unilateral policies. Discussions on X and reports from sources like Witness at the Border provide insight into the polarized public opinion and challenges of implementing a large-scale deportation campaign. While some support strong border control measures, others call for more humane and sustainable solutions. As U.S. immigration policy evolves, its impacts will continue to be closely watched globally.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
This article has utilized reliable sources and perspectives from social media to provide a comprehensive view. For a deeper understanding, readers can refer to statements from DHS, CBP, or reports from Reuters, The Guardian, and WOLA.
And Steve, a lot is happening. The Trump administration saying today that it is expanding the fast-track deportation authority nationwide. This means immigration officers will deport those who are undocumented without appearing before a judge. We have seen the raids already happening across the country. The majority of those have been detained by ICE, the administration says, are criminals.
Mexico is dealing with a major surge in U.S. deportation flights as the Trump administration sends migrants across the globe. The uptick is part of